John Ajekun Kufuor, Ghana announced the discovery of crude oil in commercial quantities. The field, Crescent Jubilee Fields, in commemoration of Ghana's 50th independence anniversary celebration, was brought into production in 40 short months. It was an exciting moment, since the discovery of oil resources offered a unique historic opportunity for Ghana to leverage its newfound oil and gas resources for the development of our economy and to finance priority domestic investments crucial for diversified growth. By the grace of God, many more discoveries have since followed, and Ghana's ability to use these resources for the development of the economy and for enhancing the welfare of citizens remains robust. It is worth noting that some resource-endowed nations in Africa fail to achieve sustainable development from the exploitation of their natural resources. We in Ghana have sought to implement a number of policies and initiatives to change the narrative. These policies are focused on ensuring sustainable growth of the sector through legislative development, employment creation, protection of the environment, revenue and cost management, transparency, diversification of the economy, capacity building, and local content development. We resolved soon after our oil discovery to improve the legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for the efficient management of our oil and gas industry. To demonstrate further our commitment to ensuring transparency and accountability, Ghana set up a Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, to deal with challenges relating to transparency and accountability with respect to the use of petroleum revenues. Ghana has also signed up to the Extractive Industry Transparent Initiatives in relation to oil and gas, which requires that we publish revenues from petroleum resources and agree to use these resources efficiently for the benefit of our people. A major challenge we have been confronted with is how to develop the oil and gas industry with optimal local content and participation, enhance national development, and create jobs. We resolved that the involvement of Ghanaians in the exploitation of oil and gas resources could be achieved through mandatory local content in all aspects of petroleum activities. Hence, our local content and local participation policy was adopted in 2010. We've been relatively successful in creating skilled and internationally competitive domestic suppliers through this law. It is important to note that Ghana's local content law is not about nationalization of the petroleum sector or a protectionist initiative, but a vehicle for partnering investors to develop domestic capacity that will bring mutual benefits to the investors and the citizens of the country who own the resources, and thereby ensure social harmony and cohesion. I'm very pleased that Ghana's Ministry of Energy and its petroleum agencies, as well as Guyana's Ministry of Natural Resources, have already commenced technical cooperation in local content development, which has culminated in the passage of Guyana's Local Content Act 2021, Act 18, in December 2021. I congratulate the government of Guyana for its swift action in that direction. I look forward to Ghana's Ministry of Energy and the newly established Local Content Secretariat under Guyana's Ministry of Natural Resources, which will include exchange programs for technical personnel through internships or secondments for further local content growth in Guyana. And Excellencies, to ensure energy sustainability, it is critical that we balance carefully social, economic, and environmental benefits in a continuously changing world. No energy project, therefore, no matter how high its return on value, is worth it if the interests of some or majority of the stakeholders are not properly represented and they're left impoverished and dissatisfied. In this regard, and on the basis of Ghana's experience, I offer the following suggestions to ensure judicious exploitation and utilization of petroleum resources on a sustainable basis for the overall benefit of all citizens. Effect proper management of oil and gas revenues transparently, and ensure equity for the benefit of all citizens through institutional reforms and transparent regulations through proper legislative guidelines. Secondly, ensure that the petroleum sector remains a significant contributor to budget and to nationwide industrial development in future. Thirdly, lay the basis for continued development of the petroleum sector by ensuring that the Guyanese basin remains an attractive area for investment, value creation, and industrial development in Guyana. Fourthly, pursue ambitious environmental and resource management policies based on the goals of a sustainable petroleum business and coexistence between the petroleum sector, other industries, and environmental considerations. Fifthly, ensure that the petroleum sector becomes a cutting-edge industry with a strong focus on health, safety, and environment at all levels of the industry, and base its operations on a goal of continuous improvement. Sixthly, encourage investments along the oil and gas supply chain through incentivization and practical regulations. Seventh, maximize the benefits of producing wealth from oil and gas by using local resources and services, people, companies, and finance in all facets of the value chain of the oil and gas industry and retaining the benefits within the country. Eighthly, promote capacity building at all levels in the technical, vocation, and tertiary educational institutions of the country. Ninthly, support the strategic exploitation of domestic natural gas discoveries through fiscal incentives and financial support. Tenthly, minimize the flaring of venting of natural gas generated in development and develop a viable domestic petrochemical industry based on natural gas. 11th, diversify the electricity generation mix through the development of renewable energy sources for which this country has huge potential and promote energy efficiency. And finally, pursue the internationalization of the Guyanese petroleum industry, including regional and bilateral local content initiatives. This will provide the sector with development opportunities, while experience from international activities can contribute to continued development of the sector. Excellencies, I believe the time has come for all of us to work together to build stronger nations for the benefit of our peoples. I have a strong belief that this is the century for the continent most blessed with natural resources to become a major league player in the global economy. This can be Africa's century, together with the African diaspora. And Ghana, the first Black African nation to break free from colonial rule, wants to be amongst the leading nations in the new struggle for economic emancipation for Africa's 1.2 billion people, and for forging strong, indissoluble links with her descendants, kith and kin, in the African diaspora of the Americas and Caribbean. So, President, I indicated at the beginning that our two countries are bonded by common blood, common geography, common history, and common ties. This imposes on us the necessity to work together, with each one being the brother's keeper. Being each other's keeper means that we look out for each other. I'm hopeful that together we can work to build a future in which present and future generations will be secure.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Sorry.
Nana Adulwanka Akufo-Addo. These histories have many similarities. And like many relationships, ours also has had over the years a good sprinkling of conflict. But that same workable geological time that I spoke about earlier has given us an imperative to work together. It's one basin. President Santoki understands this. And that's why he's always in there. I can tell you something about that. While we were discussing and preparing for his visit, we encountered some challenges. And I was worried about these challenges, and someone said to me, "You don't need to worry, he's a guy thing. It's okay." And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we look now to our nearest neighbor, it's my pleasure to invite His Excellency, the Honorable His Excellency Mr. Krishmar, shall be back going crazy. His Excellency.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Your Excellency President Mohamed Irfan Ali, and First Lady. President of Ghana, Your Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Prime Minister of the Republic of Barbados, the Honorable Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, Prime Minister of Guyana, Vice President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Your Excellency Part Jagdeo, Madam Chancellor of the Judiciary, Speaker of the House, Chairman of ExxonMobil, and distinguished ministers, representative of the private sector, ladies and gentlemen, once again, good morning. And I'm very pleased to participate in this important international oil and gas conference dealing with how we create a sustainable energy future in our countries. I thank the President of Guyana, my good friend, Irfan, for inviting me to present to you Suriname's view and perspectives. And just what the Master of Ceremony said, that President Santoki is Guyanese. I can say the same thing. My colleague friend, Irfan Ali, is also Surinamese. It sings perfectly with a spirit in which we both have cemented our relationship since we took office. A strong, committed, and building resilient societies and economies as good neighbors. Fostering an economy, but also a society towards a sustainable energy future, keeping in mind the enormous investment needed, the technological skill sets and expertise to be applied, as well as economies of scale and major decisions to be made, requires us to work together. Both Guyana and Suriname are on the path of development towards a sustainable economy that will make the transition from carbon-based energy to green energy. That commitment is there, voiced on many occasions. The question is more, how do we make that transition utilizing the newfound natural resources wisely, utilizing modern technology to lay a solid foundation for a more diversified economy for generations to come. We must realize the challenging times we live in. A part of the pandemic and global financial and development risks, we also face the impact of climate change and now also of looming global instability as a consequence of political conflict. All of this will have an impact on the energy generation demands, flows, and prices. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is not only that we must transition from one energy source to a cleaner and renewable one, but also we must consider how energy itself will transform our lives and our economies as we go forward. I certainly believe that Suriname and Guyana, with these new resources, can help mitigate the global energy poverty, which makes it difficult for almost 1 billion people to develop a productive livelihood. In charting this transition, we must recognize that others have gone before us and had profited from the earned revenues to develop a modern economy and create a future path of economic development where oil and gas may not play such a significant role anymore. These fortunate countries have saved a major part of their revenues to be able to provide for generations to come. We have the same goal and commitment to our current and certainly our future generations. No doubt, we must be responsible in our approach and certainly develop our oil and gas resources in an environmentally friendly and sound manner. Human activities, including fishing, shipping, or the exploitation of marine resources, are rapidly developing. Suriname, therefore, is on a path where better integration and management of human activities in the marine landscape of Suriname will be pursued. Our offshore partners, especially Total Energies and Apache Corporation, have been working tirelessly to come to the final investment. We also look forward to the drilling programs of other international oil companies. In 2022, a number of wells are planned in Suriname's Block 58, while Shell will drill an exploration well in Block 42, and Apache Corporation will drill an exploration well in Block 53 as well. Recently, we also concluded a bidding round for shallow shore west blocks and negotiated production sharing contracts with companies. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, in charting the way forwards, a sustainable energy future, we will need to take important and fundamental decisions in the areas of energy reduction and energy education, renewable energy, local content development, and strategic energy cooperation. We will need to empower our people and private sector to go a different route. In my view, in building a sustainable energy future goes with special responsibilities with the population in how they consume and save energy, but also in how to mitigate the harmful impacts of the oil and gas industry. Suriname will dedicate in 2022 budget more resources to educate, especially the youth and the private sector, on how energy is used in an efficient, sustainable, and responsible manner. Equally, our societies must invest in green energy and promote the use of these renewable energy resources. Adoption and installation of renewable energy sources such as from gas, solar, wind, hydro, and others will offer significant benefits to our countries. We are currently collecting data to consider the feasibility of wind energy for Suriname. Villages in the interior of Suriname, which are not connected to the grid, lack energy for household purposes. We have found a sustainable solution for these villages by installing hybrid systems in these villages. Hybrid systems consist of primarily energy generation by solar power generation and a diesel power generation as a backup. But we're looking also at solutions with hydroelectric power, but we still need to research on this as it has strong impacts on the environment, the biodiversity, and communities, which we have experienced already with our hydro energy dam. So in this, we need to work together. We need to invest in research and the technology if it is beneficial for our people. That's why the commitment from countries to start investing in new energy generation technologies such as hydrogen and fuel cells is of critical importance. At the same time, those who have provide end users products must invest in utilizing green energy. And while we're making these transitions, our domestic business community must be involved and prepared to benefit from these prospects to secure jobs, income, and operational capacity. Therefore, with regard to local content, we have taken a number of steps. Firstly, we are promoting local content as government. Just 3 days ago, a well-attended seminar to engage with all relevant stakeholders was organized by the government in collaboration with the private sector. Based on these discussions, a local content policy will be formulated, including the creation of a center to promote local content. In the meantime, several initiatives have been undertaken that resulted in the provision of goods, services, and manpower from Suriname. The most prominent initiative so far has been the issuance of an expression of interest for building additional port capacity. The response has been excellent, and we are pleased to note that the 4 expressions considered are to be the most suitable, and all have a major Surinamese partner. At the moment, the government and the private sector together are working on our investment legislation. Secondly, we are developing and upgrading the formal TVAT, technical and vocational education and training education in Suriname, amongst others, in cooperation with Dutch institutes that have provided this type of education for many years in the North Sea operations. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, to secure an economy that is sustainable and resilient with growth, we have designed a concept of sustainable development beyond our borders, which basically promotes functional cooperation between the neighboring countries, Guyana and Brazil, in 5 areas: infrastructure, environment, investment, market expansion, and energy. And we are convinced that by pooling our gas resources, we can have a cost-effective energy source to facilitate a regional development process with energy-intensive industrial complexes, utilizing mineral resources in these countries which otherwise would not have been possible. On the 21st of January 2022, the presidents of the neighboring states, Guyana, Brazil, and Suriname, met in Paramaribo for initial discussions about the strategic cooperation framework, and follow-up work to develop the agenda and execution is going on. As responsible leaders, we must look ahead, far ahead indeed, but if we do not start now, we will not only lag behind, but we will waste opportunities. Mr. President, our host, Dr. Irfan Ali, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, both countries, the leaders and their people have a historic and unique task, a responsibility and obligation to manage the oil and gas resources well. To do so in such a way that sustainable and reliable path forward is set, to create an economy upon which future generations can build and derive a steady income from. To do so in such a way that is done with internationally recognized and accepted environmental standards in place, and to protect the world and remain carbon negative. To do so in such a way that we can successfully facilitate a transition from carbon-based economy towards a green economy with affordable energy. Our objective is to become an 80% green economy by the year 2060, and to chart this vision into reality. A national commission, Vision 2060, will be established next month in Suriname. In making the transition towards this goal, we stand for a holistic and balanced approach that is directed at the needs of both our people and the environment. Your Excellencies, delegation members, we are delighted to be here at this conference, to have given you this information, to have an idea where Suriname stands. But I'm also here with my delegation to learn and discuss synergies. I hope that at the end we are successful in our endeavor to develop our countries based on the strategy of public and private partnership and cooperation. I thank you all, and may God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Your Excellency Chandrika Prasad Santokhi. I had to move that to say that. Barbados has always stood out. Some may even say stood apart. Just look at the map and you know what I'm talking about. But Barbados today, especially under the leadership of Prime Minister Motley, is changing all of that for good. Barbados, long known for beaches and fine fish, will now also always be known for providing thought leadership at the time when our survivability as a planet was at its most delicate and critical stage. But I want to keep talking about friendships. Relationships. Clearly, the one between President Grimani and Prime Minister Motley is also one that's very special and helps to cement the bonds between Guyana and Barbados. As a matter of fact, I can tell you, Prime Minister Motley is very conscious about this. She reminded those of us who were shaking our shoulders yesterday that, Barbados played a significant role in populating Guyana historically. I guess the one is in Minnesota the opportunity to be considered Guyanese. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me pleasure to invite the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Your Excellency, President Ali, my brother, Mrs. Ali. Your Excellency, President Akufo-Addo, my other brother of Ghana. Your Excellency, President Santokhi of Suriname, my other brother. And I'm looking for my older brother, Vice President Barajaglio, Prime Minister, my dear brother. I see. Older brother. He helped raise me in this thing called public life. Ministers, chairman, visiting delegates, diplomats, everyone, and MC. Everyone doesn't only want to be from Guyana. Those of you like you come from St. Lucie, Barbados. And there is nothing better than the old Latin saying, res ipsa loquitur, the facts speak for themselves. First, let me express my absolute gratitude to my brother President Ali and to the government and people of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the Guyana Oil and Gas Energy Chamber of Commerce for the kind invitation to offer these brief remarks this morning, and to have the opportunity also to be able to meet with my colleague, heads of state and government across this conference. But I want, as we do so this morning, to reflect on a few things. Because today we face not one, but several great challenges. The pandemic, the climate crisis, the energy transition to come, and the technology revolution that is engulfing our world. These threaten the fabric of our societies, and they threaten the future of work. Those on the front line of these battles will look upon this period of time in history as perhaps one of the most challenging, disruptive, and impactful, and certainly since our independence as nations. Of the challenges facing our nations, the climate crisis and the energy transition presents both threats and opportunities for our region. We must protect our people against the threats while taking absolute advantage of the opportunities afforded to us over the course of the next few decades. Energy, we all know, is integral to our societies. An abundant and affordable supply of energy is essential for meaningful social and economic activity. And to achieve growth in these activities, governments must actively implement policies that will create and incentivize the sustainable use of energy resources. Recalled in the theme of this inaugural conference, CARICOM countries, Caribbean community countries, have embarked on a mission to chart a sustainable energy future, to navigate the energy transition. My friends, it is tempting, especially for our brothers and sisters who stand atop spectacular new oil and gas resources, to consider that the energy transition is too far off for us to worry about today. But in alliance with our global partners, many of whom are present today, we must also recognize the need to tilt to new circumstances. As a region, we possess bountiful renewable and non-renewable sources, having, like Africa, been blessed by Mother Nature with the power also of the sun, the wind, the water, the earth, oceans, and nature. But as I said earlier, these blessings have always been accompanied by threats. We are a zone of volcanoes and earthquakes. We are on the front line of the war of the climate crisis between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. And our countries are bang, bang, bang in the middle of it. We are more vulnerable to rising temperatures and sea levels than most others. We are vulnerable to floods, as you know well here in Guyana, hurricanes, tsunamis, and drought. And the energy transition that must occur if our world is not quite literally to burn up may well be happening too slowly. But it is a complex conversation, and it is that complex conversation that we must not turn away from. As outlined in our own energy policy in Barbados, we have embarked on an ambitious journey to transition our country to 100% renewable sources and to be a carbon neutral state by 2035. By 2030, 70%, by 2035, 100%. We have one of the densest electric vehicles and charging station networks per capita. There are over 500 electric vehicles on our roads, and remember, we're only 166 square miles. We have one of the region's largest electric fleets of buses, 49 at the moment, with an additional 10 to be purchased. So per capita, we are really ahead of most. We've replaced 88% of all of our street lights across Barbados to LED lights. And we've installed 3.7 megawatts of photovoltaic systems on 22 public buildings and are continuing to move with pace. We've completed ocean energy studies that investigate and establish the feasibility of establishing and developing utility-scale offshore wind and marine power. And we're conscious of the potential for Barbados to generate hydrogen from wave energy and the capacity for export. We're concluding negotiations on a 30-megawatt green energy park based on waste energy and a substantial improvement in the management of our waste. And last year, we concluded our integrated resource and resilience plan. We're redoubling our efforts to propel the industry forward with new fast-track regulatory processes, having discovered the bureaucracy that stymied the pace of the approval of renewable energy projects. We've already approved and installed over 59 megawatts of private renewable energy capacity, primarily solar photovoltaic systems, approximately for 9.4% of what we anticipate to be the need of 625 megawatts because of the absence of progress on battery storage. And we are also conscious that there is a need for us to maximize the solar revolution, particularly as that country in CARICOM that led the way on solar water heaters as we went forward as an independent nation. 50 years ago, we started that process to the point where almost every house in Barbados has been powered by solar water heaters for the generation of hot water for over 4 decades. But the solar revolution and the wind revolution is not just about energy. It's also a golden opportunity to advance economic empowerment and people-centric development, that which remains critical on our journey as independent nations. The sun's power is available to all, as is the wind, as is the ocean. And we must never privatize the sun or the wind or the water just for a few. We are using legislation, policy, and the convening power of government with local financial institutions to ensure that every family home in Barbados can, without large capital expenditures, use attractive feed-in tariffs to deliver a steady income for the home ownership, whether it is new home ownership or existing home ownership. I say so because we hope in the next few years to build 10,000 homes, low and lower middle income, affordable homes, where persons can purchase solar voltaic panels on their roofs to help them offset the costs and in some instances to de-risk them, making them eligible for mortgages that they would not otherwise be eligible for. Their rooftops give them the hope of being homeowners. And indeed, the name of the program for us is Homeownership Providing Energy. But to do that only for new homeowners would be unfair. And therefore, we intend to ensure that of the 80,000 households, that the majority of them be also given an opportunity to be able to have the solar panels on their roofs through appropriate financing mechanisms with credit unions and banks, and to allow them to be able to benefit from the bounty. We asked our people to share in the burden of adjustment a few years ago, and we remain obligated that those who share the burden of adjustment must equally share in the bounty that is there to benefit all. Barbados is very keen to share and collaborate with the rest of our Caribbean brothers and sisters in CARICOM to create a global brand in resilience building and planning, renewables and sustainability. And we're conscious that small states like Dominica have already started on that journey, and that as a Caribbean region, we need to work together because more than any other region, we are in a position to tell the world about resilience and what resilience means and looks like and how that brand can be used to unlock opportunities for further development. As we look forward to a sustainable energy future, we also equally understand that there's substantial hydrocarbon resources deep below our seabed. In November 2021, BHP completed a 2,700 square kilometer 3D seismic survey within 2 offshore blocks under the terms of its exploration licenses. These surveys will help Barbados de-risk exploration and hopefully will lead to the discovery of hydrocarbon resources offshore. In particular, we hope natural gas, which we still see as a potential bridge in the energy transition. That is only 2 of the blocks, but we have a number of other blocks that have been there And were it not for the pandemic, we would have moved forward with greater alacrity to recognize that there is a need for us to be able to make decisions as to what we do. And this has not been an easy discussion, but it is one, like many of you have said,